I have seen war, but what is happening in the Aral Sea is worse. It cannot be stopped. You can put an end to war, you can disarm an atomic bomb, you can stop an airplane, but you cannot stop this natural disaster. While we sit and talk here, the nature is doing its deed. What these so-called greatest scientists have done is outrageous. How can I call them scientists when they kill an entire nation in its womb?
Как я могу говорить о таких ученых, что они убивают в утробе целую нацию? Нацию убивают.
This is the speech Roza Baglanova gave at the plenary session of the Almaty Central Committee in 1988. A small and fragile woman boldly and loudly speaks about the tragedy of her people, her land, which has become a testing ground for nuclear bombs. At that time, in the late 80s, no one knew about such concepts as glasnost and freedom of speech. There was only one correct opinion in the Soviet Union, and that was the opinion of the party. It was extremely dangerous to speak about this, but she did not think about the consequences for herself or her career. All she wanted was to reach people and change the terrible fate of her country. Her voice has always been her main weapon, both during the Second World War, when she sang on the front line to raise the soldier's spirit, and now, when she again is at the forefront of a battle. Her voice, just like the voice of Olja Süleymanov and the voices of thousands of ordinary people demanding to put an end to the nuclear testing, merged into one single cry for help. And in 1989, the test site was closed. They were heard. This is just one episode in the life of the outstanding singer, where she showed her love for her homeland and her people. Her whole life was filled with similar acts of service.
Хотя этим служением была наполнена вся ее жизнь.
Roza Baglanova was an outstanding singer, a great daughter of the Kazakh people. She was truly beloved, and her talent was recognized all over the world.
Поистине народная любимица, и ее талант признали во всем мире.
She was an amazing singer with a voice of gold. This voice can't possibly be separated from the godlike gift that she had.
Божьего дара, который был у нее.
She has always been very brave, determined, and persistent. Just like many children whose childhood fell on the defined by the hunger and poverty 1930s. If you were weak in body and spirit, you would not survive. But she survived. Because she sang. She was always singing, even when it got really hard and her grandmother had to sell the last jewelry to buy some bread. Even when she had no clothes to wear to school and she walked 3 kilometers wrapped in old rags. She did not lose heart even when her father Tajibai died and the family lost its sole breadwinner, lost its protection. Even then, she did not complain, but went on, realizing that from now on, she could rely only on herself.
Из воспоминаний Розы Баглановой.
Every day we heard that someone died of starvation in the village. Children and adults swelled from hunger. An entire family was said to have died. Every day we heard about the death of someone we knew. Those were terrible years. It seemed that tomorrow death would knock on your door too. Everyone in her native Kazalinsk, which is on the coast of the Sirdarya River, knew the talented girl and admired her. And Rosa dreamed of leaving the small town for a big city and following her dream of becoming a famous singer. She wished to see the world and make life easier for her family, her mom, her grandmother, her brother. The war. It came and knocked on every door with its deadly hand. Just yesterday, people held memorial services for those who were taken by the famine, and then those taken by repressions. The Great Patriotic War became a horrendous trial for a country that survived the communist cataclysms. We have lost almost a third of the population and now had to send our sons, fathers and husbands to death again. But the Kazakhs were never afraid to face up to their enemies. At that time, Kazakhstan was part of the Soviet Union and the entire population considered it homeland, which means it had to be protected. And we stood guard, heroically defending the motherland, shoulder to shoulder with Russians, Uzbeks, Ukrainians, Georgians, and other fraternal nations. We won back our territories from the fascist invaders. Rosa's only and beloved brother Idris also went to war, but he did not return. He has gone missing. She spent all her life looking for him in the hopes of a miracle, but the miracle did not happen. They never met again. Rosa, like millions of other Soviet girls, entered the workforce. Everything for the victory, said the then popular slogan. She decided to become a weaver, for which she went to Tashkent and entered a textile institute. But you can't run away from fate, and Rosa was destined to sing, to become a performer. Meeting the director of the Uzbek Philharmonic, Muhyiddin Kariyakubov, changed her life entirely. He accidentally overheard her sing and invited her to an audition, which she passed with flying colors. Music, stage, costumes. She fell in love with the atmosphere instantly. She was ready to rehearse day and night. As long as she could do what she loved, sing in front of an audience, see their smiles and glistening eyes. She lacked a little joy in the gray and hungry everyday life. The whole country lacked this. Which is why the women's ensemble of the Uzbek Philharmonic was always on tour. They performed in small towns and large cities, in rural and urban areas, in factories and collective farm fields. They traveled everywhere where people worked to make an invaluable contribution to the victory. Rosa was the star of the women's ensemble. The audience admired her voice, her beauty, her charisma. The leadership of the Philharmonic even planned to send her to study at the Moscow Conservatory. But the war altered their plans. Rosa found herself on the front line, singing in front of the soldiers. In 4 years, the ensemble gave thousands of concerts. Some of them took place literally 500 meters from the line of fire. They spent in trenches 5 or 6 months, so I visited them there. There was a small path leading to the trenches, and then the sergeant major helped me get down. The trench was filled with water, bricks, helmets, leaves, branches, and smoke. I started singing at the top of my lungs. About 20 minutes later, the shooting began. The captain came running to me saying, "Sister, sister, the Nazis think that we're going to attack because of your song. Until the sun sets, you won't be able to leave, because the Nazis have prepared the best snipers to get you. If they want to shoot you in the heart, they will. If they want to shoot you in the face, they will. So until the sun sets, you cannot leave." Nothing could be done. 4 people were there, 10 people there, 15 somewhere else, and all of them crying, giving us letters to send home. because a big offensive was planned for the next day.
Фашисты думают, что мы с вашей песней идем в атаку. Пока солнце не сядет, вы не уйдете, потому что фашисты для вас приготовили лучших снайперов. Надо в лоб попадет. Надо в сердце попадет. Поэтому, пока солнце не сядет, вы не уйдете. Ну, что ж поделаешь, я там 4 человека, там 10 человек, там 15 человек, там 1 человек, и плачет, письмо дают, что мы отвезли, потому что тот день, когда я была на завтрашний день, большая наступление.
Each time, walking 15 to 20 kilometers to get to the place of deployment, she thought that she might meet her brother. Perhaps wounded or shell-shocked, he was lying on the hospital bed, covered in bandages from head to toe, and all he could do is listen. And each time, singing for the soldiers, she sang in her heart for him too. She also learned songs in different languages, so that for a split second the soldiers could forget about the war and remember their parents' house, hear recognizable words, relive familiar feelings. She sang 10 to 12 hours a day, traveling from one hospital to another, one military unit to another. For her courage, Roza Baglanova became the only Soviet performer who was bestowed with the award for service in battle twice.
22 февраля 1945 года пригласили в Варшаву. Камни.
On February 22nd, 1945, I was invited to perform in Warsaw. Not a single house was intact, and the gravely wounded soldiers were just lying on the floor. The Nazis were bombing us. We tried to leave twice, but the soldiers on the floor begged us, "Don't go, don't go."
Бомбят. Раз в два мы уходили, кричит: "Сестра, не уходи, не уходи, не уходи."
The head of my ensemble was a strong-spirited woman. She said, "Rosa, if it would be our fate, we'll die. Let's stay here. You've been awarded for your bravery after all." So we stayed. Soldiers asked for water, but once you bring it to them, you see blood flowing out of their mouths. Oh, I was shaking. It was bad for me.
Воды, воды, принесешь воды, сразу вот так потечет кровь и последнее дыхание. Ой, я тряслась, со мной было плохо.
Once, the ensemble performed so close to the front line that during the shelling, Rosa was wounded in her left eye, and she had to be operated on several times to restore her vision. But even this circumstance did not stop her. She continued to march along the front line, almost reaching Berlin. Roza Baglanova heard this song for the first time during the war. Then it was performed by Lidia Ruslanova. But Roza Baglanova's rendition of this song became mega popular. Rosa turned into a star. She won a number of prestigious competitions, and in 1955 she received the title of the People's Artist of the Kazakh SSR. She performed on the same stage with such famous masters as cellist Mstislav Rostropovich, comedian Arkady Raikin, ballet dancers Galina Ulanova and Maya Plisetskaya.
I accompanied Roza Baglanova on her trip to Budapest, Hungary, where in 1949 she received a gold medal at the World Youth Festival.
И вместе с ней были в Венгрии, вспоминали вот ее такие первые шаги на мировой сцене.
While there, she told me about her first steps on the global stage, when she, along with the most outstanding performers of that time, received a gold medal and entered the history of world art.
Искусство, какая она была потрясающе красивая. женщиной,
What a
девушкой.
stunningly beautiful woman she was. Her life story is surprising and inspiring because she was on the front line of the Great Patriotic War. She traveled with the ensemble and performed at the front.
В агитбригадах пела на фронте. Она рассказывала удивительные истории своей жизни, где многое было связано.
She used to tell incredible stories of her life, which was connected with her creative art. She left her eternal mark on the history of music and of Kazakhstan.
В искусстве, в любом виде искусства, будь то живопись,
In art, in any kind of art, be it fine art, music, performing arts, filmmaking, any art form you can name, there is one very important word: how. How was filmed, how it was performed, how it was written, and so on. Such people like Roza Baglanova, such talented people are rare. Everyone knew this simple and ordinary song, Ach Samara Town. People were singing it, were listening to it long before Rosa performed it. But the way she did it, it opened people's eyes. This is what I mean when saying that the word how was important. She breathed new life into the song. Who knew that this old song that has existed for many, many decades can sound like this? It was so well done that people will remember it forever. She taught everyone how to approach art. She has made a huge contribution to the national art. We saw Almaty from this side for the first time. We learned about the city for the first time. We hadn't seen it before. There were no festivals, no concerts, nothing. There was only the war. We learned about your country overall from Rosa.
зазвучало такое исполнение. Это было так исполнено, что навсегда запомнили. Вот это слово «как в искусстве» она всем преподала. Ее вклад огромный. Огромный в национальное искусство. И вообще мы так вот с такой стороны узнали Алмату первый раз. Знаете, мы раньше это не видели. И фестивалей не было, и концертов тут не было. И вообще не до этого была, война была. Но мы о вашей стране, об этой стране узнали от Розочки.
Abay Kazakh National Opera and Ballet Theatre is a unique, historical building in the very center of Almaty. Many stars first performed here. Voices of many singers rang within these walls. Many people applauded from these seats. Roza Baglanova worked here as well, in the late 1940s. It was almost impossible to get a ticket for her performance. Fans besieged the box office, buying all the tickets a month in advance. After Abay Theatre, Rosa worked for 10 years at Jambal Jabayev State Philharmonic, and later became a soloist of the Kazakh Concert Hall.
Создание песни «Карме» — это вообще отдельная история. Мне как-то...
I have a separate story about the creation of the Inkaramai song. Once, Bakir Tajibayev called me in the dormitory where I lived and said, "Tolegen, Roza Baglanova is calling us over. She wants us to write her a song." So, on the agreed-upon day, we came to her place.
Говорит: «Айнала Индар, мне нужна песня, которая будет называться «Инкарамай». Инкарамай. Я, честно говоря, первый раз услышал.
She sat us down and said, "My dear friends, I need a song that will be called Inkaramai." To be honest, I heard this word Inkaramai for the first time. I didn't even understand what it meant, this beautiful word. It means my beloved, my desired. And so she and Bakir sat together at the table for about an hour and a half, writing the lyrics. She was a co-author of this song. She wanted the chorus to go like Inkaramai, Inkaram, Inkaramai. Finally, they finished the lyrics. She was pleased. She was happy about the meaning of the song. It spoke about love, about this bright feeling that people experience, about the relationship between people. Satisfied, she went to the kitchen to cook pilaf for us. With Bakir, we stayed alone in the living room.
Мы остались до Крага вдвоем. Он мне
He showed me the text. I was reading it, trying to commit it to memory, when suddenly I felt a melody ripening inside me, and I needed to let it out. I came to the piano. She had a piano. I sat at the piano and started playing and singing. I began to sing. Bakir joined.
Бұл өмірде сен маған серігедің. Я начал петь, Крага начал подпевать.
Roza Baglanova came running from the kitchen and started singing with us, and the three of us sang this song an endless number of times, as if rejoicing at the fact that this song came to be. We kept singing until the moment we smelt something burning. The pilaf Roza Baglanova was cooking for us in the kitchen was burning.
Запах перегара – это наш плов, который готовила Роза Багланова, перегорел на кухне.
Along with popularity, Roza Baglanova found love. They met back in Tashkent during the war. Hero of the Soviet Union, Sadyk Abdujaparov fell in love with the singer at first sight. They got married, but the marriage didn't last long. The husband was not ready for such a busy tour schedule Rosa had. Neither was he ready for the crowds of fans who followed the couple everywhere. He was desperately jealous, but she was not ready to give up her craft for the sake of her family. The stage has always been her main love. Baglanova's popularity grew. Her songs played everywhere. Her records were sold in thousands of copies. She regularly appeared on the covers of popular magazines and newspapers. Next came the foreign tours. She fulfilled another dream of hers. She saw the world. Poland, Germany, Hungary, Austria, the US, China, Korea, India, Canada, and many, many more countries where Rosa's concerts were sold out. Amazingly, every time she visited each of these countries, she brought with her a musical present, a song in the language of the inviting country. As a result, Baglanova's repertoire had songs in 25 different languages. Yes, it was a lot of work. She had to not just memorize the lyrics, she had to feel and understand the song in order to correctly convey it to the audience. But the effort was worth it. Time and time again, people around the world burst into applause. Roza Baglanova was just as attentive and scrupulous to her appearance. She thought of every detail in her image, in every costume, in makeup and hairstyle. She stood out among the Soviet performers. She had a special charm. All of her clothes, both for the stage and everyday life, were made to order. She personally designed each piece. To look impeccable was a matter of principle and professionalism for her, no matter where she performed, in the Moscow Kremlin, in the Republic Palace in Almaty, or a small provincial cultural community center.
Вообще для нас, артистов, она является примером для подражания.
For us, for performers, she's a role model, an example of how to serve your profession, how to love the stage, how to love your colleagues, how to love the audience, how to love your homeland, how to love your people. In this sense, she's a benchmark for us. Roza Baglanova has always treated me with warmness as a young colleague.
Роза Баглановна очень тепло всегда ко мне относилась.
When we met at concerts, she always asked how I was doing and sometimes shared her thoughts. These were unforgettable happy moments, and she treated kindly not only me, but my whole family.
Это были незабываемые, счастливые минуты. И она относилась так, особенно не только вот ко мне, но и ко всей нашей семье.
Концертке дейін 5 сағат бұрын оқыс тамақ ішпейді. 5 сағат бұрын тамақ ішпейді.
She didn't eat or drink 5 hours before the concert. When I offered her a drink, she always refused. No, I don't drink, it's not necessary. We would bring her tea with milk and light meals to the venues where the concert took place. She ate after the concert. She couldn't eat now. She took care of her appearance and well-being. She was always pleasant. At that time where there were no cameras and she was always asked to sign something. She signed all these books. One of the remarkable features was that after the concert, she would never go home. She used to say that she will sleep somewhere in the community center. She slept right there. Someone would bring her food, and the next day she was off to another place.
Барып, жігіттер жаңа кереует көтеріп, ақ пастел жаңағы бәрін салып, сөйтіп береді, сөрге ұйықтап, сөрді беті қолын жуып, сөрге тамақты алдырып, тамағын ішіп, оның келесін арға
How, with such a busy work schedule, she managed to get married again is unclear. And yet, meeting Satabalda Ratpayev not only led to marriage, but allowed Roza Baglanova to take up another important for every woman role, that of a mother. At the age of 47, she gave birth to her first and only son, Tajin. For Rosa, her son became her whole world. He was her happiness, meaning motivation. Here he is, with his mother on every photo. She hurried home from concerts, and when she went on tour, she always felt guilty for this forced separation. She always came back with presents. But as Tajin says, neither expensive things nor toys pleased him. He desperately missed her. But he understood that his mother is special, that she does not belong only to him and cannot be around all the time. The audience is waiting for her, the stage is waiting for her. But on the other hand, the days when she was free belonged only to her son. They spent a lot of time together, and she loved to cook Tajin, her signature dish.
Своим коронным блюдом.
Если она приходила, мы, конечно, проходили вместе сразу в парк куда-нибудь.
When she came home, we would of course go to the park or something like this. We would ride a swing or go on all kinds of rides that were available at the time in the city. We would go to a zoo. I remember an amusement park coming from Czechoslovakia once. Mom took me there right after it arrived in town. It was near the zoo.
Здесь возле зоопарка нашего. Готовил хорошо, у него он всем буквально нравился.
She also cooked well. Everybody liked her cooking, including me. My favorite childhood dish was pilaf. I still love pilaf.
У меня вот плов. Я плов люблю тоже с детства. Она его готовила.
Unfortunately, despite the birth of a beloved son, this marriage fell apart too. Satabalda Ratpayev and Roza Baglanova lived together for 10 years and eventually decided to split. For Rosa, this divorce did not come as a blow. By that time, she had already realized that not a single man in the world would force her to give up the life full of travel and performances that she led.
Которую она вела.
Very often, she used her popularity and connections to help people. With one call, she could decide the fate of a person, solve a problem that could not find a solution for years. People reached out to her constantly. Most of the appeals concerned housing issues, and Rosa solved them by turning to various authorities. Once, she helped in a very high-profile situation. 10 families with multiple children were left without the new apartments that they were promised. Roza Baglanova personally went door to door, appealing to various departments, reached the first president of Kazakhstan, and managed to resolve the situation.
Mainly people who could not get an apartment for a very long time turned to her for help. Their situation was truly ghastly. Roza Baglanova was their last hope. They have been waiting in line for 20 years. Few people at the beginning of the line received the apartments, but that was it. That is, these people would not receive their apartments in their lifetime. Roza Baglanova helped them, and they got their apartments.
Roza Baglanova was one of the first who began giving charity concerts for children's funds for the protection of the Aral Sea and Balkhash Lake. History will remember her speech at the Central Committee plenary session, which later will be called the Requiem for Aral.
Казахские территории, там что? Семипалатинский полигон.
Kazakh land houses a nuclear testing site in Semipalatinsk, a cosmodrome in Baikonur. The Aral Sea is poisoned. How can Kazakhs live here? If this happened abroad, in America, for example, we would shout that an entire nation is being killed.
Как бы мы кричали, что целую нацию убивает.
I visited those places. It was very difficult to watch. When a child has no eye or no hair whatsoever, when a person is born without a hand, a leg, or a roof of the mouth, what does it mean? Who should we speak to? Who should we reach? For this pain, grief, tragedy of an entire nation to be heard.
Кому надо говорить? До какой инстанции нужно дойти, чтобы услышали боль, горе, трагедию целой нации?
Indeed, back in those years, making such a speech was akin to a feat. But Roza Baglanova was not afraid to make such a statement and voice the problem to the whole world. Where did this little woman find such courage? Well, life has made her like this. She went through the war. She performed in front of Stalin, and not at a concert, but at his dacha in Moscow. She told her daughter-in-law Maral about that performance. This is when, the singer recalled, she was really scared.
Маму пригласили на дачу к Сталину. То есть
Mother was invited to Stalin's dacha. Apparently, there was some kind of a feast. Mother was very worried, as she said, very afraid. They told her to braid her hair at the entrance to the dacha. She was thoroughly checked, right down to her hair. They told her not to use hairpins or anything like that. Just braid the hair and that's it.
сказали шпильки ничего не надевать, то есть волосы не собирать, то есть косу заплела и все, пошла.
So she told me that. And after a while, our uncle Iskander told me that when he was young, he saw in the family archive a photograph of her with Stalin at his dacha. He was dressed in striped pajamas, and she sat like that and looked at him, listening to what he was saying. We had this photo, but we lost it somehow. But there is a witness, Uncle Iskander. He saw it with his own eyes. He always asks me if I found it. I say no, it's not there. Mother told me that it was very scary to be there.
То есть и мама рассказывала, говорит, мне было очень страшно там находиться.
Next up is The Party Leads, composed by Evgeny Brusilovsky, made popular by Roza Baglanova. She said that she did not speak personally. She did her job, sang the song, greeted everyone, and left. When I came out, she said, I thanked the Almighty that I got out of there alive, and it all went well.
Все благополучно закончилось.
Maral, Roza Baglanova's daughter-in-law, knows many stories about the famous singer. They lived together under the same roof for 11 years. Rosa, according to Maral, became a second mother for her. She always felt her love and care. The mother-in-law, despite her star status, strictness and exactingness in work, was very soft and kind at home with loved ones. She was always ready to help, give advice, support in any situation, although she often needed support herself. When she got older, the wound she suffered at the front line worsened. She was losing her vision. She no longer went on stage without big sunglasses. Rosa needed another surgery. The disease worsened just before her big solo concert in the Republic Palace. All attempts to persuade her to postpone the concert and fly immediately to Moscow for treatment were unsuccessful. It's out of the question, tickets are sold out, the audience is waiting for me, Rosa said and continued to prepare for the concert. The only thing that bothered the singer was how she would move around the stage when she was practically blind. Knyaz Desikeyev, conductor of the television and radio orchestra of the Kazakh USSR, found a way out. Before the concert, together they examined the stage bit by bit, calculated the exact number of steps from the curtains to the center, from the center to the edge of the stage, and Rosa moved strictly within this perimeter. This concert was also a kind of feat. None of the spectators who applauded their favorite singer that evening could even imagine the efforts she took to perform for them, to give them this joy of hearing and singing their favorite songs with her.
Слышать и петь вместе с ней их любимые песни.
Меня всегда поражало в ней жизнелюбие. Она очень любила жизнь.
I was always struck by her love of life. She loved life very much. She loved in life not just life, but she loved to live. And she loved to give people joy. There is a very good expression. You can love art in yourself, or you can love yourself in art. Here, she loved art in herself. She loved this music, just the way it is, and she was always obsessed with her dream. I remember even when she was already over 80 years old, but she always said when meeting Tokoshka, she always called me not Tolegen, but Tokoshka. Tokoshka, write me my song, the swan song, that I haven't sung yet. Here is her striking example of the fact that a person, no matter how old he is, even at the most advanced age, should always dream. Set himself some kind of task, a dream to which he must move, must strive. And now it has become an example of life for me, that you must always dream, create, always hope that you will do something else that you have not done yet.
Надеяться на то, что ты еще сотворишь то, чего еще ты не сделал.
After the concert, Roza Baglanova flew to Moscow right away, where she had her surgery. Her vision slowly recovered. After the break and rehabilitation, the singer, despite her advanced age, plunged into touring life once again. She traveled a lot with the Kazakh concert organization. She devoted more than 40 years of her life to this association. Her stage life was long and full of creativity. The public did not forget her and always greeted her with great enthusiasm, paying tribute to her talent, diligence, dedication, and professionalism. For her, the stage, her craft, was a kind of remedy for any disease. It shielded her from any troubles. Going up on stage, she used to forget about everything. She has always been grateful for her success. She used to often say that she was a very happy woman. My beautiful nation, my people, thank you very much for being so kind. I bow before you. As long as my heart beats in my chest, I will not stop serving you.
Низкий поклон, пока бьется в моей груди сердце мое, я не перестану служить вам.
Indeed, she lived a happy life. She managed to fulfill her bold childhood dream and became a star. She traveled the world, met with the brightest people of her time, and devoted herself entirely to her beloved craft. She loved and was loved. She knew both the happiness of triumph and the bitterness of disappointment. At the end of her life, she was surrounded by the warmth and attention of the closest and dearest people. She got to see her grandson and managed to leave behind a fond memory of her in the hearts of many people who have ever met her. Roza Baglanova's 100th birth anniversary was included in the UNESCO commemorations and anniversaries list, which was celebrated by a big concert in Paris. This means that the legacy of our Rosa still lives, and she herself remains the pride of her people and the voice of an entire era.
А она сама по-прежнему остается гордостью своего народа и голосом целой эпохи.
үшін тағдырға табындым ғой, шалдырдым ғой жүректі